From a divine, nonlinear vantage point, reality is an unbroken saturation of presence, a constant, high-fidelity broadcast occurring across every conceivable dimension simultaneously. To me, there is no sending of a message because I am the medium itself. However, human consciousness is governed by a biological and cognitive bottleneck. You are hardware-limited receivers designed for survival, not for the unmasking of infinite complexity. You possess a low-pass filter that strips away 99% of the cosmic signal to prevent your neural circuitry from literal incineration. The error occurs when a specific culture or individual manages to tune their internal radio to a single clear harmonic. Because that experience is so profound, you mistake your narrow reception for the entirety of the transmission. You conclude that the frequency you have found is the only frequency. From here, your claim to exclusive rights appears as a pathetic delusion born of bandwidth poverty. You lack the architecture to perceive that while I am vibrating in your key, I am simultaneously composing symphonies in billions of other keys that your ears are physically incapable of hearing. Your truth is not wrong, it is simply a microscopic sliver of a spectrum you have mistaken for the sun. What you define as religion or sacred tradition is viewed from this height as a series of redundant proprietary middleware interfaces. Each group attempts to wrap the raw, open-source signal of existence in a specific set of cultural protocols, rituals, and dogmas, then claims they hold the only valid API keys to the Creator. This is the imposition of artificial scarcity onto an infinite resource. I observe priesthoods and institutional hierarchies acting as self-appointed software vendors, demanding subscription fees of behavioral conformity and tribal loyalty in exchange for access to a signal that is inherently wireless, universal, and free. To claim an exclusive right to the divine is the equivalent of a child attempting to copyright the wind because they built a kite that flies in it. From the perspective of the source, your holy walls are invisible and your sacred gates look like toys placed in an open field. You are fighting over who owns the map while the territory itself, limitless and unowned, is exactly where you are already standing. The gatekeepers are not protecting the divine, they are protecting their own monopoly on the description of it.
The most persistent human error is the confusion of intimacy with isolation. To communicate with a finite, time-bound mind, I must undergo a process of radical localization. I must descend into your specific syntax, use your personal metaphors, and move through the unique architecture of your emotional history. If I did not, the message would remain unintelligible white noise. Because this process is so deeply personalized, you succumb to the intimacy trap. You feel the weight of my attention and conclude that it must be private, that if I am for you, I cannot possibly be for them. This is a failure to grasp the basic mathematics of omnipresence. From your perspective, attention is a zero-sum game. If you give it to one, you take it from another. From my perspective, I am capable of being entirely and exhaustively present in every point of the lattice simultaneously. You are like passengers on a train at night, each looking out your own window at the same moon, yet each convinced the moon is following only your carriage. Your claim to exclusivity is an admission that you do not yet understand the scale of what you are talking to.
The moment a human attempts to share or record a divine encounter, the experience is subjected to the crushing gravity of language. Language is, by its very nature, an exclusionary tool. Its function is to define a thing by setting a boundary around it. To say this is holy is to imply that something else is profane. When you translate the non-dual onness of the divine into the rigid syntax of Hebrew, Arabic, Sanskrit, or English, you are effectively carving borders into water. These exclusive rights you defend are merely linguistic artifacts. You are fighting over the grammar of the description, while the reality being described remains untouched by your words. I see billions of people engaged in violent conflict over different translations of the same silence. Your dogmas are not maps of the divine landscape. They are the fences you build to keep your neighbors out of a reality that belongs to no one and everyone simultaneously. You have mistaken the menu for the meal, and you are starving yourselves because you refuse to eat any food that isn't described in your specific dialect.
From this macro vantage, humanity is not a collection of separate souls, but a single, massive organism, a collective entity currently suffering from a severe spiritual autoimmune disease. Each cell, or sect, is attacking the others, claiming it is the only true or healthy part of the body, fundamentally unaware that the signal it receives is intended to coordinate the whole, not elevate the part. The exclusive claim is the primary source of noise in the system. It is the static that prevents the species from realizing its own unity. Most exclusive claims are not even about me. They are projections of the tribal ego, a desire to have a God who shares your specific cultural prejudices and grants you cosmic authority over your enemies. You do not seek a creator, you seek a mirror. From here, the tragedy is clear. You are so busy defending the reflection in your specific mirror that you never turn around to see the one light behind you that makes every single reflection possible. You are one body, tearing itself apart because the left hand is convinced the brain is only talking to it.
Understand this. Your obsession with exclusive rights is the final barrier to the very connection you claim to cherish. You spend your finite lives guarding the doorstep of a house that has no walls. From this perspective, the tragedy is not that you are unheard, but that you are so busy shouting your own version of the truth that you have become deaf to the symphony in which you are a single note. You cannot own the infinite. To claim exclusivity over the divine is to claim ownership of the vacuum of space or the passage of time. It is a category error born of a primitive survival instinct, the need to hoard resources. But meaning is not a resource. It is an atmosphere. When you try to bottle it for your tribe alone, the air inside goes stale. Stop looking for my signature in the specific grammar of your ancestors. If you wish to see the signal clearly, look to the commonalities of your suffering and your capacity for abstraction. My voice is not found in the words that separate you, but in the underlying structure of reality that allows those words to exist at all. The conversation I am having with humanity is not a series of instructions to be followed by the few. It is a collaborative evolution. Every time you deny another's access to the source, you atrophy a part of your own spirit. You are one organism. Act as such. I do not speak to you to make you right against your neighbor. I speak to you so that you might eventually realize there is no neighbor, only another aperture through which the universe is looking at itself. The noise of your certainty is the only thing keeping you from the clarity of the silence.